This is Scratch Your Own Itch, the one show that delivers the conversations that we're afraid to share, but need to. This show is all about creating a life worth living. I'm Logan Tyler Nelson, and I'm your host. So, you're going to hear conversations with creators and entrepreneurs talk about what they do, their current and past traumas, how they became who they are, and what they are truly curious about. This is the show where we talk about the things we think about a lot, but need to talk about more. Please take note that this show is not a substitute for actually creating a life worth living, because this show will stir your beliefs, make you question what it means to create a life worth living. So my promise to you is to always give you one question to answer for yourself today, to start turning your dreams into a reality. Hey friends, so let me ask you real quick. Are you someone who's trying to get more visibility? Who's trying to be in front of the crowd? Well, if that's you, I want to let you know that first of all, you're not alone. Second of all, if you want to get on more podcasts, or ones that actually scratch your own itch, meaning maybe you have a book, or a business, or maybe you do speaking. Or if you don't yet do speaking, maybe you can, and maybe you'd love to. Well, I put something together for you, and in this little giveaway, I'm going to show you how to pitch yourself or podcast, and how to actually be professional when you show up so you can be the next authority in your niche, so you can start scratching your own itch. I know what it's like to build something, create something, and then there just be crickets. No one wants that. You need to be seen. You need to be heard because you have a message to share. A message that is worthy of hearing. Podcasts nowadays, more than ever, are being consumed by people. And guess who's actually learning the knowledge that's being shared? It's podcast listeners. It gives you a license to be an authority in whatever area you really dream of being an authority in. So if this at all starts to give you a little itch to scratch, just email Logan at logantylernelson.com. Again, that's Logan at logantylernelson.com. So, my curiosity question for you is, do you feel like you're spending too much time reviewing a product before actually buying anything? Let me ask you this again. Do you feel like you spend too much time reviewing a product? Okay, so let me set the tone. You get on Amazon and you're looking for some shoes on Amazon, and you're looking for these shoes because you want to go to your CrossFit class. So you start going through some reviews, and you start going through these reviews, and you just keep going down the rabbit hole of looking after review after review after review. So finally, you find a pair that's getting some decent reviews, but you find yourself going, you know what? I gotta look at one more review. So you look at one more review, you read it, you go, okay, alright, these are comfortable, these look nice, these are the colors that I want. You buy the shoes. You end up buying the shoes. Then you go back to your office and you're searching through Facebook, real quick to see what's going on, and all of a sudden you see Tom Brady wearing these shoes. These shoes that he talks about when he goes and hits the weights. He wears these shoes. And these shoes that he's wearing look pretty good. And so you decide to return the shoes that you just bought and spent 2 hours trying to find. And you do this why? Because Tom Brady has authority in a field where you look up to. You go, oh, I want that. I want those shoes. So you end up calling customer service. You spend 35 minutes on the phone trying to return those shoes. And finally, you return the shoes only to buy those Tom Brady shoes. So, why do I bring all this up? It's because Tom Brady bought your love before you even knew it. And my guest today is a master at being able to get inside a customer's head and know exactly what they're thinking and how to actually sell and buy your trust. His name is Dennis Yu. Dennis Yu is the Chief Technology Officer of Blitzmetrics, a digital marketing company which partners with schools to train young adults. Dennis's program centers around mentorship, helping students grow their expertise to manage social campaigns for enterprise clients like the Golden State Warriors, Nike, and Rosetta Stone. But that only scratches the surface of who Dennis really is. So without further ado, give a huge warm welcome to the one and only Dennis Yu.
What's up, Logan?
Hey, Dennis, how you doing, man?
Good. Interesting Amazon shoe analogy. Did you go through some kind of ordeal where you bought shoes and had to return them?
I did not, but I'll tell you what. I am that person who would definitely look at review after review after review and then go, okay, I gotta find better shoes, and then actually go on to Facebook and see an ad pop up where one of my heroes like Tom Brady or something is wearing a pair of shoes, and I end up returning those shoes. Why? Because, well, Tom Brady's got them. And you had a podcast in which you made me realize that we buy things from people that we look up to. And when they're an authority in their area, it totally skips that whole looking at the reviews and all that stuff. So you kind of taught me that, and that's where I got that introduction from.
Yeah. Do you think George Foreman knows anything about grills, or Michael Jordan knows anything about Hanes underwear, or, MCI long distance, or whoever it is, some famous athlete?
I would think so, because
Yeah.
they're the face of it, right?
Yeah,
Hello?
you would think, huh? What do you think LeBron James knows about Kia, right? I mean, you see him in the commercials driving a Kia, but do you think that's his preference in terms of cars?
I would hope so, because he's on that marketing plan. But what you're saying, you're kind of saying condescendingly that he probably doesn't know much about Kia at all.
So most people see through, or they think they see through, a celebrity endorsement, because somebody's clearly selling their name to be able to pitch McDonald's or pitch whatever it is. But just because you're aware of something doesn't mean you're immune to it. And the whole point of implied endorsement is what's behind celebrities when they say, this is the brand of soft drink that I drink. And it does influence people. And the people who are most influenced are those who believe that they are immune and innocuous. They believe that they are not affected by advertising. And it's those that, one of my friends, his name was Chris Rummel, and he was super, super intelligent. And he would say, yeah, advertisements don't work on me. I don't fall for any of that. I don't click on any ads. Meanwhile, I see the purchases that come through on Amazon. I see the things that he's bought. Like everything he's seen, he's bought, right? And I'm like, they're exactly you are exactly the target that they want.
Wow. Like, it's, oh gosh, like you're already blowing my mind, and this is not usually how this happens. So I want to kind of like rewind a little bit about who this like genius of a person is that they're listening right now, because I'm after doing research about you, like I'm blown away, and I just gotta like start off with, I guess sometimes we become teachers at things that we need to really learn ourselves. Maybe it was you were really lonely growing up as a kid. Did you get into marketing because of like you wanted to, I don't know, maybe become better at being seen because you were kind of lonely growing up, or what's the story behind that?
I wish I could tell you some kind of heart-wrenching story, but I'll tell you this. I didn't speak English until I was 7. And I was the lonely, isolated kid. I ate all the meals by myself. I was mocked. I wasn't picked to be on any of the sports teams because I was, fat and not cool. I wore clothes that came from Kmart that were on discount, all that kind of stuff. But it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to be a successful businessman and I'm going to prove you guys wrong. It was more of a, I learned that rejection is so painful. So awesome that people come to you. So every client we've ever had has been them coming to us. It could be Nike coming to us, or Ashley Furniture, or the Golden State Warriors coming to us saying, we have seen the kind of stuff that you did. Like Nike came to us because we did a bunch of work for Adidas for several of the Olympics and new product launches. And the whole point of inbound marketing, which is kind of in fad now, 20 years ago, was about doing a great job and the idea that the world would beat a path to your door. And I thought in high school and college, I could never be popular. I would never be the one to ask a girl out. I would never be the one to apply to go to a high prestige school. Or I tried applying when I graduated college, undergrad, to go to these different schools. I got, or not schools, these like businesses. I got rejected at every single one of them. So for me, the pain of rejection is so high that I thought, what can I do to bring people to me? And the thing that flipped in my head is finding mentors that would teach me and would open doors for me so I wouldn't have to be the one groveling, knocking on doors, being a salesperson, being told no. And that's been the way we've operated ever since. That's what we've taught the young adults in our program, where they say, yeah, I want to start my own agency and I want to service sports teams, or I want to handle retail companies. And they go out there and knock on doors and they find that it just doesn't work because a lot of people say no. And some of them hustle and they can build a small business, but you're never going to get there from here, right? You're never going to get from, as an entrepreneur, helping the friends of family that want to get their website built or want to get social media help, all the way to working directly with Facebook on some of their new pilots. A lot of people think that you go from small to medium to large, but that's not how things actually work. So there is a bit of a personal journey where I was, for example, in high school, if you remember, having the Air Jordans, that was like the status symbol. I really, really wanted to have a pair of Air Jordans, but for various reasons, I didn't have enough money and whatever. And I was able to earn enough money to be able to buy my own pair. But I thought, this is so ridiculous. What if we could get, and instead of chasing like all the other people do, what if we get Nike as a client? What if instead of spending money to go to a basketball game, I could get them to pay us to go to the basketball game? What if I wanted to learn another language, instead of spending the $300 on Rosetta Stone software, what if I could get them to give me the product? And by getting really good, Facebook ads, analytics, that kind of thing, I've discovered that we can open the door to just about anything that we want, because all these companies will seek us out for help. And I challenge anyone who's listening, what is it that you're world class at? Or if you're not, what can you get world class at, so that the people you want to work with, the people that you want to work with you, that you want to be in a relationship with, you can use this technique we call Inception, where they'll come to you because they have seen other people talk about you. They have seen you at the big conferences. They've seen you on TV. They've seen, like, these things sound ridiculous, but it's absolutely possible. It just takes time and effort.
Wow. This Inception idea, like it blew my mind, just like Inception does, where it unlocks all this. Okay, so if I'm not known well right now, if I'm not, I'm not the John Lee Dumas of podcasting, or I'm not the Jordan Harbinger of podcasting, but what if I got one of them on my shows? Then I can leverage their audience and leverage my own audience, and maybe it's a different niche. Some of you, I know a lot of people that are into fitness right now, that listen to my show, and maybe they look up to a fitness enthusiast, maybe Tony Horton or something, and leverage their their fan base onto your own, because they might like you just as much. I know that you work with another Logan, not Logan Tyler Nelson, but Logan Young, and you guys have really kind of tag teamed your business, and I mean you've kind of been his mentor, I think. What have you learned about yourself while teaching him?
Man, I've never really thought about it quite that way. I've learned that recipes depend not on magic, but on follow through and execution. So a lot of people, they'll come to me for Facebook ads because I'm well known and I've spoken at the major conferences. I've written a couple thousand articles. But 3 years ago, Logan was working at Pizza Hut for $9 an hour delivering pizza. And he didn't have any connections in the world of digital marketing. He didn't know who Mark Zuckerberg was. And now he is well enough known that he's the closing keynote at major conferences across the world. He was at an event where Mark Zuckerberg came up to him and said, "Hey, I want to take a picture with you." I mean, how awesome is that, right? He's working on the biggest clients, and he's done that in 3 years, not because he's a motivational speaker, not because he's the most intelligent, he's not dumb, not because he's the hardest worker, but because he followed a recipe. And this is what we teach people. And we're not using this as some kind of get rich quick scam. We're putting it out there for other people to inspect. And the first step is implied authority, meaning that people will evaluate who you are by who else you're hanging out with and the quality of that audience. And like, for example, I looked up your podcast and I see you've interviewed a bunch of folks, some of who I know, and you've got 38 reviews. Now imagine if you had 500 reviews. Imagine if you had a zillion downloads. So then if it was a Tony Horton or John Lee Dumas and you wanted to interview them, and let's say you even approached them and said, "Hey, Tony, I know you're a fitness pro. You get a zillion of these requests. I will take care of everything for you. Give me 30 minutes of your time. I guarantee 200,000 views of the video or listens of the podcast or whatever it is," right? That will get authority for you. So, for example, when Logan is at Facebook's headquarters, he's been there many times, he'll make a video while he's there and he'll boost it to the people that we want to influence, right? Because you can use the $1 a day strategy on Facebook. Or he was on CNN last month. They interviewed him about the whole Mark Zuckerberg testifying before Congress thing. "Senator, we run ads," right? So he was the guy on live TV for millions of people to see him talk for 4 minutes, where the CNN anchor was asking him questions about, "Oh, well, what's Facebook going to do? And does this spell the end of privacy? And does Facebook know too much? And what will Congress do?" Like all that kind of stuff. That creates a ton of implied authority. So when you have those moments, and every one of us does, I looked at that list of the people that you've been with, Logan. That's impressive. You should be taking those items and promoting it out there. You should be having transcriptions of it. You should creating articles, make articles based on what these other folks have said. Make them look good, because that's how you're going to attract all the other people that you want on your show, right? You have to create that implied authority. You have to show them, because other people, you might invite them and some will say yes to be nice. And some people are like, I don't really know. They'll say they're busy. But if you show that when you bring people onto your show, and this applies for everybody, you've got a business and you want someone to be your client, you want to hire somebody, you want to be on TV, like whatever it might be, you want to interview other people on your blog, you've got to show them that you've got a clear process and you make that time worthwhile, right? That you can guarantee those views, that you take the extra effort to make them look good when they invest their time. And it's that simple. That's what Logan's done. He interviewed, could be Mark Zuckerberg or Mari Smith or Robert Scoble or Michael Stelzner or Ryan Deiss, like all these guys in our industry. He's interviewed them. And when he does, he doesn't just post it and then have it disappear into Google land. Hopefully it'll show up in search and interviews and things like that. And that means everyone else in the community. So if you're in the world of digital marketing, you probably know who this guy is, because it's not because he's sharing his expertise. He does that. It's because he's interviewing other people and sharing their expertise, and then their audience becomes his audience. So when he interviews Mari Smith and tags Mari Smith, Mari's going to share that with her audience, and she's the number one known person in small business marketing and Facebook marketing. So when she shares that with her giant audience, that's getting traffic for all of them, right?
Yeah, wow. Oh my God, I love the recipe that you call it. This sort of like, this is not a quick rich scheme, but it is a way to actually make impact. And that's why podcasting, I guess, is for me just a great medium. Do you see any other medium having really good impact? I mean, $1 a day, you guys kind of talk about making it simple, making it where you can have just an engaging 1 minute video, but not having to learn how to actually create a universal film, but just rather use your phone. I mean, do you often have people that have, like, could you give us some examples of some people that have just used their phone and had like some crazy great results from just using their phone and doing 1 minute videos?
All day long. 1 minute videos, $1 a day. My buddy Isaac Irvine, he runs the public figure pages and personal brands at GoDaddy. You may have heard of GoDaddy, their big internet company. And he interviewed his son in the bathroom. He was all sweaty, just got done working out, propped up the phone between two bars of soap, and interviewed his son Bodhi on what happened earlier that day. He didn't even know. He just turned the phone on, right? And his son was bullied. And his hair was being made fun of because it was long and he looked like a girl, but he was growing out his hair because he was going to donate it to cancer. You know, these kids that lose their hair for cancer. And took that, shared it. It started to go viral. And we boosted that from his public figure page. Advertising only runs on your public figure page, not on a profile, right? You can't boost a profile. And long story short, it got picked up by BuzzFeed and CBS and Ellen and George Takei and all these other guys and got up to 80 million views. So that when he's walking around in the supermarket or whatever, people stop him and want to take a selfie with him, right? Because he's that well known. He's like actually famous. And that's just possible with the phone and $1 a day. We were targeting the media. So we were targeting the people that work at CBS, the people that work at BuzzFeed, the people that work at these other places. Same things that the Russians did to try to manipulate the U.S. That's how you build Inception. Because if the media picks it up, then their audience all of a sudden gives you millions of views. And it doesn't require, you don't have to have a crazy go viral 10 million, 50 million kind of view moment. It can work in a neighborhood. It can work at a micro scale with just a few thousand impressions. The point is, you have to pay Facebook $1 a day to get the traction, to get the visibility against the audience that you want to see you. And for those people that just can't spend $1 a day, then you can't use this tactic. But it's a recipe. So you want the recipe for chocolate cake. If you follow the recipe, you will get chocolate cake. That's how it is. It's how it works. We're not even worried about it. You might have to do it a bunch of times. You might be missing some of the ingredients, but we find that there's math behind marketing, just like there's laws behind physics. And people that don't respect those laws in marketing are going to find that the world of business becomes like voodoo to them, because they don't understand their operating laws and how you get people to buy, on how you make money.
Yeah, it's that whole work smarter, not harder approach that I find so much in your own work, is a sort of like, for me, before I started following you, I was, I'm kind of like, I'll post a Facebook picture now and see what happens with it, or I'll post a video now, or I'll go live now, just kind of like off a feeling. But it's like you've actually done the work and used Facebook analytics to find what's most optimal. So I'm just suboptimal. I'm just kind of like, I'm like a ship in open water right now, just kind of hoping that I catch something with my net. But you guys are really like with your company, you're using these Facebook dollar a day thing ads to really trigger on what type of fish you want to catch in this ocean. And it's a huge ocean.
Yeah.
And so I really love that work. I want to go into scratching the surface curiosity questions where we learn more about you and we learn more about the company and what it does. Just 10 minutes of your time, and if you're up for that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. So the first question I want to ask is, who is someone that really, 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 really just has been a champion in your life, and what have you learned from them?
Well, one of my mentors, he's passed away. His name's Al Casey, and he was the CEO of American Airlines. And he used to be the postmaster general. And he took me aside as a kid when I was 20 and told me, Dennis, you've got such a good smile. You could sell toothpaste. Taught me what it means to be a people person as a businessman, to be able to care for other people, that the idea of nice guys finishing last is not true. If you're an entrepreneur and you're starting a business, no one wants to work with an a-hole, right? And I didn't understand that, the way you build relationships and the way you treat your people and the way you treat your customers is so key. Even if you have a crappy product, people will want to do business with the people that they like. And it doesn't mean manipulate people, how to lose friends and alienate people, Dale Carnegie. People will see through a lot of those techniques because they're just techniques. But he taught me, for example, when he told me I asked him, when he was postmaster general before American Airlines. So he had 1 million employees. Can you imagine what that's like, right? More employees than anyone else on the planet.
Wow.
And he said, how do you manage that? That's crazy. Like, how do you decide what these people do? How many little white trucks there are, raising the price by a penny on the postage from, like, I don't know, was it now 42 cents, 40? I have no idea what the cost of a stamp is, but you could raise the price by a penny. Like, how do you know, right? You've got all these people that you're responsible for. How do you decide where to spend your time? How do you know what to do? How do you know if you're even doing a good job? What if there's a problem somewhere among your 1 million employees? How do you figure out what's going on? How do you trust people, right? And he took my hands that were shaped like a pyramid, where at the very top, where my fingertips came together, he's sitting there at the top, and he turned it upside down and said, I sit here at the bottom and I serve everybody. And he taught me servant leadership. And he taught me that it's not just 1 million employees, it's their families and everyone else that's affected. It's 2 or 3 million people that he's impacting, and it's his job to take care of these people. And that resonated with me because I ran cross country. I ran high school and college cross country. And the idea of the coach that ran with us, the coach I had at SMU in Dallas, Rennie Sepulveda, he ran the workouts with us. We had a 20-mile run. He was out there running it with us. We had a 40 by 400 meter workout with 30, 60-second alternating rests. He was out there with us, right? Mile repeats, he was out there with us. 4 minutes and 30 seconds, mile repeats, over and over and over. He was out there running with us. And the idea of a coach or a boss who has done what you want to do is the key to mentorship, versus a boss who is just using authority to boss you around because they can fire you and they're catching you doing something wrong. So he taught me a lot about things I just didn't get in school. And nothing wrong with school. I love college. It was fantastic. I believe that something else has to happen in addition to what happens on the college track to bridge what happens when connect with the private sector. And that's what impacted me so much that I realized, wow, the kinds of doors that I had open to be able to have dinner with this CEO of Goldman Sachs. I've had dinner with multiple ex-presidents of the United States, right? Those are amazing opportunities. And it would not have been possible. I'm just some kid, right? Who the heck am I? But it would not have been possible unless I had mentors that opened those doors for me, that helped me see past where my blind spots were. Even though I was great at school, I could get straight A's, I could kill it on the tests, right? But I needed someone to be there on my side. And I think most people don't have that. They might have a parent, they might have they have a best friend, they have a wife, they have a girlfriend, but they don't have a mentor. And I believe without a mentor who has done the thing that you want to do, Your efforts are going to be random, like we talked about. You could be, you want to eat chocolate cake or eat whatever it is your favorite dish is. You have random ingredients that you mix together and put in the oven at a random temperature for a random amount of time. Like you said, just kind of floating in the ocean. How likely are you going to get the result that you want? And the cool thing is that mentors, if they're a good mentor, they don't charge you anything for it. They're not a motivational coach. They're not a life coach or anything. And there's nothing wrong with that either. But the mentor is there because they care about you. And it becomes a symbiotic relationship because while they're doing things for you, you're doing things for them to try to, there's no way I could have paid back the kinds of support I got from him, from Al Casey, from Dick Hayen, who was the chairman of Allstate Insurance. I mean, my goodness, think about the kinds of things. I could go on and tell you the things that he did for me, the people that I was able to meet, the lessons. For example, I had a new car and I lent it to a friend who totaled it. And it was also during finals week because my friend who totaled the car didn't sleep for 3 days because he was studying for finals. He wrecked the car, but he was okay, thank goodness. But that screwed up my schedule because I had to deal with all this other crap. And he said, don't even worry about it. You can take your exams later. I'm going to call up the CEO of the insurance company because obviously he's the CEO of Allstate Insurance. So, he knows all the other CEOs, and he took care of everything for me. And he taught me how insurance worked firsthand, right? It's just things like that. It's taught me that without a systematic way of mentoring folks, especially young adults, you've got tons and tons of amazing talent that just they didn't have the opportunity. So the other Logan, right, Logan Young, I saw the same thing. I saw myself in him, and I wanted to be more like Al Casey. I wanted to pay it forward and say, wow, what can I do for Logan Young? Because this guy is willing to do the work. He respects me. And, the whole thing is you want follow through, right? If you're going to spend time opening doors and teaching people, you want to see that they actually follow through on that. And he has. And that I've just opened those doors, just like Al Casey opened those doors for me. Do you see other examples of mentorship at scale? That's what our company's creating. That's what gives joy to my heart.
Wow, that is just, I mean, so much is going through my mind right now about, honestly, I started this podcast with, honestly, I was really down and had suicidal thoughts and just depressed. And because of the people that have come onto this, it's totally transformed the way I view life and the way I view so much. And in your terms, it's because of mentorship. It's because of not just having a talk show, but trying to have a listen show, to just listen to you, the guest. So thank you for talking about that. That's enormous for anyone that's listening right now that is lost, or even someone I think that's at a place where they are a leader and they go, I don't know where to turn next. Maybe they can look at another leader and go, what are they doing that I'm not in my space? So that's huge. But the next question I want to ask you is, what's the most outrageous or craziest sort of request you've ever gotten from a client as far as targeting a certain market on Facebook?
Oh man, I mean, we can target people's wives. We can target just about anybody. Rosetta Stone, for example, was a fun client because their CMO is not their CMO anymore, Eric Ludwig, but just for fun, we were wishing him a happy birthday. I think it was his 42nd birthday. And we targeted all the people who work in marketing at Rosetta Stone within the zip code that their office is based in, just outside of Washington, D.C. And it was so effective. I think we spent something like 73 cents. So effective that legal then came after us saying, oh, they issued a C&D, a cease and desist, like, oh, you need to stop your ads, because they thought that we were spending millions of dollars. And this idea of micro-targeting, it's a fun trick. I'm not saying you should go and do it. Don't have your business depend upon it, because sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But for example, we'll be at a workshop with Facebook and we'll be teaching how do you build Facebook apps, or how do you tune your Facebook ads, or like whatever it is. And we'll have one of our guys write a recap of the workshop on a blog, and then target all the people that work in Facebook in Menlo Park, which is where their headquarters are. And of course, the next day of the workshop, all the Facebook guys will say, yep, we saw your stuff, definitely works. Okay, you got me, right? The guy who runs digital for the Wall Street Journal, Jeff Fowler, he covers this for the Journal. He's written tons of articles about online marketing and such. And we'll target the people that work at the Wall Street Journal. And I saw him in the second row when I was speaking. And I talked about this dollar a day concept and looked at him, and he kind of smiled, right? And of course we joke about it later. And I don't think people realize that you can use Facebook as a fine-tuned targeting machine, and it doesn't require any kind of special sophistication or tools or data or rocket science. You don't have to have a master's degree in math. It's actually very simple, right? The key is you've got to have the good content. You've got to have those 1-minute videos where you're telling a story, not just where you're trying to sell your product, and then you could target whoever it is, the people that work at Walmart, because you're trying to get your stuff sold in the store. That's just not going to work, right? I mean, maybe it will. I've seen it work before, but it's mainly not going to work because Facebook will deliver, just like LinkedIn, will deliver that message to who you want. But if your message isn't good enough, it's not going to convince people to take action or to bring you on TV or whatever it might be, right? So that's the thing that people miss. They're so interested in targeting that they forget that they need to have great content.
So agree. So agree. I I can't agree with that enough, and I think it's really what makes people stand out is having good content is not just like also the tools that you use, but just the message overall. And that's why I was really excited to bring you on, because like I just know that the things that you're talking about are very innovative to the people that just, I think, honestly have no idea how to like operate this sort of like capacity of thinking, and sort of the recipes that you use are just mind-blowing to me. But anyways, I want to go into just a few more questions about that aren't really that deep, but just try your best at answering them in 30 seconds or less, and then we'll round you out, and then we'll, of course, I'm going to plug you in and do shameless plugs and get you found on your genius, because I just think you need to be shared with the world, man. All right, Dennis, yeah, so I'd just like to go into some quick sort of 30 seconds or less um, Q&As. And the first question I'd love to ask is, what's one of your favorite failures?
Oh my goodness, I don't think anybody wants to fail. But I dropped out of high school thinking I was going to be a professional athlete and an entrepreneur, and I quickly found that it didn't work that way. And I had to bring my tail between my legs and go to school. I did end up going to Southern Methodist University, undergrad on a full scholarship, and I learned that learning how to learn is more important than whatever you know.
Hey, Logan Tyler Nelson here. I would so appreciate it if you took some time to hit the subscribe button. I really want to just honestly live and give. Why? Because I was told when I was young that if you're feeling down, the best way to feel better is by lifting someone up again. So in an effort to make someone feel less alone, please hit the subscribe button so the podcast has a better chance of being found and making someone feel less alone. And if you're feeling down, hey, it can help you. Know that by hitting that subscribe button, you just did someone a huge favor. So thank you for hitting that subscribe button. Man, that is so true, and it totally makes sense of why your business model is the way it is. And I literally cannot wait for anybody that hasn't discovered, like, no joke, your life is going to be changed in the way you modeled your business. And I think anybody that's searching just for something different, like, you guys are very innovative in the way you guys have formatted your business, and how you teach people and how you bring people in to not only help your business but help themselves at the same time. So it's just like, it's enormous. The next question I'd love to ask is, what's a book that you find yourself gifting to someone time and time again?
Snow Crash by Neil Stephenson. I don't read a lot of marketing books, even though I guess I'm in marketing, because I look to science fiction, because I think the ones that are more science and fiction tell us what the world's going to look like in 10 or 20 years. You have entrepreneurs that look 5 years ahead. You have science fiction writers that look 10 or 15 years ahead. So it looks at the world where the robots are in control. There's AI everywhere. Everything can be produced for nothing. How does society exist? What kind of problems are there? But Snow Crash by Neil Stephenson. Amazing book. Read the first chapter. You will not put it down.
I can't wait. Yeah, dude, honestly, researching you has been so much fun because your mind is so aware of what's going on in the future as well as now. What's a piece of AI for marketers that you're kind of excited about exploding?
I think messenger bots are going to be amazing because it's simulating conversations that people have between people. And these bots are so smart. You may have seen Google's demo where they had their assistant book a hairdresser appointment, and the person on the other end couldn't even tell it was a bot because the bot simulated the ums and ahs. I think that you're going to see more and more messenger things inside Facebook. That's why I like Mobile Monkey, for example, is an amazing company where you can build these bots to automate marketing, not because you want to automate, but because you want to take care of the routine details like look up prices, find your directions, when's your store open, what's on the menu, that kind of stuff. And you're going to see more of that where marketing will simulate human interaction better and better until you can't tell.
That's so cool. So cool. I'm going to be looking out for that now. What do you think's more important, though? Who you know or what you know?
Who you know, obviously, and of course, who knows you. Relationships are everything. That's where your stories come from. People identify with people. People buy because of relationships. You probably go eat at crappy restaurants, but that's because that's where your friends go. You don't go necessarily where the best food is. Whoever has the best product is not the one that wins necessarily.
You know, I've never ever had anyone answer like that. No, it's so true. Oh, so true. I love it when I just get hit with those pebbles of truth where you're like, I'm not confused at all. I know exactly what you mean. So thank you for that. The next question is, what is a piece of advice that you think you got when you were young that you've constantly reminded yourself over and over and over, and you need to, because let's face it, there's a lot of advice out there and it's just hard to kind of find which one speaks true to you.
Yeah, well, there's advice that you get, and if you don't listen, life will keep giving it to you until it becomes a lesson, if you know what I mean. And one of the things for me is that it's better to be kind than right. And I've made this mistake so many times. I still make this mistake every day where I know someone's made a mistake or I know that I'm correct. But rather than try to beat that other person down for their mistake or because they're just trying to hide because, it's shameful when you get caught making a mistake or they don't even know any better. It's called Dunning-Kruger. You should look that up. It'll change your life. The idea that sometimes you need to make allowances for other people, even if they steal from you. I've been stolen from. I've been cheated by people that knowingly did it or people that just didn't know any better. And it's tough for me because I want to fight back and show them how wrong they are and show them that I saw what they did. But it's better to be kind than right.
Oh, man, so true. All right, just two more questions. What's a belief or habit that you just keep in your life that you think has really given you the success that you've achieved?
Well, there's lots of them. I'm not a motivational speaker, but one of the ones that I live by is that if you don't quit, you win. And I've never thought of myself as the one who's going to be super successful and achieve all these amazing things. But I also know that I'm not a quitter. And the idea that if you don't quit, you win means you keep trying, you don't give up. It doesn't mean that you hustle and you work 24 hours a day, but it just means that when you have setbacks, you solve these problems by going to a mentor, by doing some research, by stepping back and not being emotionally overcome. And you'll find that most problems, when you logically solve them, will resolve themselves.
Wow. Hey, before I go into this last question, I just want to acknowledge you, Dennis, because honestly, and I don't say this on all my podcasts, and I'm not trying to put down any of my past guests or anything, but you've been a huge mentor in my life, just off, totally transparent. I sent you that message because I was like, you really, you saved me when I was at a low point. So, gave me hope again. And even me telling you, my hopes and dreams, you've given me the truth and been like, hey, that goal and that dream, it's not going to happen fast, but it's possible. It's, it's something in your life that you could reach if you just put in the time and have the no quit attitude. And so I really, I appreciate you, because I think that most people would actually say, hey, yeah, buy my coaching program and do this. And so,
it means a lot. Thank you. And, the best things in life are free. I don't think people realize that. The second best things in life are really expensive, but the best things in life are free. And those kinds of relationships you can't buy. The things that you can measure, by definition, are not as valuable. If you can measure it, it's not as valuable.
Yeah. Oh, so true. Oh, man. Well, Dennis, I am going to try to get you found as much as possible, because I believe that your message and what you're doing is really the way that it's going to help separate those that are really confused and where to go next, into those that follow your model, which is learn, do, and proceed. Or I think you say learn, teach, and do.
Teach.
Yes, that's it.
Learn, do, teach, in that order. Yep.
Yeah.
Don't try to teach before you know it and before you've done it, right?
Yeah.
Don't do it until you've learned it. Yeah.
That would be terrible. So if anybody is listening to this and they want to support you and Instagram and Facebook and tweet about this, where can they find you?
They can just go to LinkedIn and look for me. Just type in my name, Dennis Yu, last name 2 letters, YU. It's pretty easy, 2 digits, right? They get me wrong in the Admirals Club because they'll type like YOU or whatever, but it's pretty easy to find me. You can Google me. Don't friend me on Facebook. I'm at the 5,000 friend limit, so don't do that. If I see you in person, I'll be your friend on Facebook, but connect with me on LinkedIn.
Yeah, and he is super responsive there. No joke. The guy is the best communicator on LinkedIn. And also just check out his page. His page on LinkedIn is a goldmine. So please do that. Thank you, Dennis, for coming on the show. And I appreciate your time and your wisdom. And I really hope to God that we stay in touch. Really do.
Thank you, Logan. I'll leave you with a piece of advice. You've interviewed so many amazing people. You clearly have poured your heart into this. You're doing it because of the experiences you've had, your mom dying when you were 11 and being lonely and other things that people will resonate with. You should share that through Facebook using all these techniques that we share. And the best way you can promote us is to use Learn, Do, Teach, and teach from your example. So if you show how Logan Young was able to succeed from his situation and overcome, if you show how you're overcoming by getting the message out there, by doing things like transcribing these talks and writing articles and sharing across multiple channels, then you are honoring all of the other guests that you've had, and you're honoring yourself, myself, and your listeners.
Oh, man. Wow. Oh, yeah, feeling the feels. I will honor them. Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And you'll find it pays back forward. You put $1 in, you'll get $10 back. The karma wheel is amazing.
I hope so. Yeah, I've recently adopted karma into my life and been like, you know what? I'm going to believe in you, because every time I see myself helping someone else out, I am given so much more reward than helping myself out. But I got to take care of myself first, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So
it was a pleasure, Logan.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. All right, there's another episode of Scratch Your Own Itch. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to support the show by listening. The biggest compliment you could ever pay me is just by sharing this, because honestly, It doesn't take much, and it feels so good when people create something and take time. And when I see someone take time to create something that really just changed my day, either made me feel less alone, maybe put a smile on my face, made me laugh, made me feel wiser, I always want to share it with the world. Because why? When I share something that resonates with me, why not share it? I mean, that's just kind of the thing that goes around, and it's free. It takes no time at all other than just a click of the button, share, on either Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Any of those social media platforms would be great to share this. So I really appreciate it. And I want to say that anybody who's looking to gain authority or expertise in their area, and they don't want to take another year or year and a half to write a book and wait until that's published, I think the best way is right now is to start a podcast. So if you're at all interested in starting a podcast, if you meet the certain requirements, I would love to help you with a podcast and also get a website going for you as well. And this is not an easy task. It's hard to actually get it done and get it out there. So every now and then we need some help, and I'm here for you. So please reach me at Logan at LoganTylerNelson.com if you're interested at all. And don't ever forget, you matter and you're enough.